the whole of reality can be understood as having 7 different bits of it, strands, interactive forces, and we're calling these by name: no, hello, please, thank you, sorry, goodbye, and yes. And yet we don't understand what those words really mean. So we have keywords to describe and define them. When I say no, I mean boundaries, identity, choice, and truth, and so on. And the question sometimes arises in the mind: why do we need to define such simplistic words? They're so obvious. Why do we need to decide what no means? Everybody knows what no means. And yet, just think about that. When you were first introduced to the word no, it was probably to warn you against burning yourself, against something hot. No! That's possibly the first time you heard it, and you didn't have no defined for you in conceptual terms in relationship to yes or anything else. It was just a sound, no, and it was much more to do with the urgency of the voice and the particularity of the moment, and you'd learn what the word no meant first by that tone of voice. And then father would come home and see that you were still playing with your toys when he wanted to be quiet, and he would say no. He would use the same word to mean something quite different. He wouldn't mean you're in danger of getting hurt by the fire. He would mean I'm an authority figure and you've just upset me. That's what he meant by the word no. They're not the same, are they? Mm. And so when we are taught the very basics of our language wrongly, before even having the capacity to think, and this is just one example, think about all the other words that are misused, and practically every word is misused, then we get taught something which is very jumbled in the mind, and we associate that with words which become very jumbled, and there are different meanings, different wrong meanings for everyone we speak to. And so we're all talking to each other, pretending that we know what we mean, but we mean different things, because no does not mean you're in danger, and it does not mean I'm an authority. No means boundaries, identity, choice, and truth in my reality. So when we come to Mavis, the Wordbender, she suffered these processes more than anyone else. So she has a very great deal of ambiguity when she says something, you don't really know what she means. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you what she means when she's saying something. And I want you to tell me whether she means no, or hello, or thank you, or goodbye, or please, or sorry, or yes. You'd think it was quite easy, wouldn't you? So here's the story. Mavis, the Wordbender, goes into her butcher with a piece of meat she bought yesterday. She slaps it on the counter and with a huff and a puff says, I wouldn't feed that to my dog.
Yeah, good.
What does she mean? We can find 7 different interpretations. So what do you think she means? Which of the 7 different words do you think she means? Just think about it before we speak.
Okay.
Make up your mind so that we're not influencing each other too much. I wouldn't feed that to my dog. That's the words that you have. So you've made up your mind, Rachel?
Yeah.
Anna, have you made up your mind?
I have 3 words.
You have 3 possibilities. All right, well, we can deal with that. And Katrina, do you have a choice or decision?
I have 2 choices.
2 choices. All right. So let's hear what Anna has to say.
So there's a no, an initial no. No, you did bad behavior. There's a please replace this with a good one. And goodbye, I don't want this anymore. Get it out of my sight.
Okay. Katrina, what do you think?
I just, for the beginning, she says, no, I wouldn't feed it to my dog. She refuses to accept this product.
Okay. You said you had two choices. What's the other choice?
Then why? But I started to think maybe it is not goodbye because she went to the shop and maybe she expects the butcher to replace this product with something
So-
better. Maybe she didn't say goodbye. Therefore, I just said no. She said no.
Okay. Is no a request to replace?
Mm.
A request is not no, is it? What is a request? Which are the words?
Please.
Please. So if you're saying that what she was really doing was requesting a new piece, then that would have to be please, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So it's no, I don't want this old meat, or is it please replace this meat? Which do you think she's saying?
Please.
You think she's saying please? Okay. What about Rachel? What have you got?
I thought she was saying goodbye because she said like a realization I wouldn't feed this to my dog or something.
When do you think she came to that decision?
She would have already come to that decision before she came to the butcher's.
Is she intending to end her connection with the butcher?
Oh. Well, she wants to replace it, so she doesn't want to end. I don't think she wants to end the relationship.
So what word do you think it is now?
So if she doesn't want to, oh, I don't know. Well, it was between no and goodbye is what I thought. No?
And if I say no to you, am I asking you to replace something?
No, so it's please.
So if you think what she's saying is please replace my meat, it must be please. Or I want you to replace my meat, it must be please. You would have thought it's a fairly simple question, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you? But it's not, is it? What does it depend upon? Does it depend upon her words?
I thought it was the energy because it's like,
Her tone?
yeah.
And she slapped it on the counter. She was huffing and puffing. That was a part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, so her tone has something to do with it. So we're not really only studying words here. We're
And
studying tone.
I think, and that's why I thought it would be no or goodbye because it had that sort of energy.
Yeah, she wasn't saying, please, would you do this for me, sir? She
Yeah.
was saying, I'm angry. You know,
Yeah.
there's some anger in there, isn't there? And that's not please.
Yeah.
You don't get away with saying please in an angry way. That's not, is it? Okay, so let me just draw your attention to the fact that we don't know at the moment. You will do in a minute, but you don't know at the moment what she's saying. The four of us have not agreed on what she means. Do you think she understands what she's saying herself?
Maybe she can change her opinion in the course of the dialogue.
Maybe she can. So would that be yes, she understands, or no, she doesn't understand?
She may not understand.
And when you say she may not understand, are you saying she does not, or perhaps she does, perhaps she doesn't?
As perhaps she doesn't. I have to see more of this dialogue.
Well, there's nothing more to see. She's got this meat. She bangs it down on the counter. She says, huff and puff, and oh, I wouldn't feed that to my dog. So let's look at the possibilities. What is the unemotional, correct way of saying no in this particular situation? How would she say no legitimately?
I don't want this meat.
Yeah, that'll do. Sure. This dog meat isn't suitable, is what we're saying, isn't it? It's a little bit stronger than what you said, but yeah, that's quite right. Okay, good. Hello. What if she's saying hello? Can you interpret this behavior as hello-like?
What was the question?
Sorry.
You've frozen on us, Katrina.
I'm just going to get them up, the 7 words, so I can see the meaning of them all.
So the question is, can we interpret this dialogue as hello-like? If she was saying hello, how would she be expressing herself?
Do you think it would be like something like, oh, hi, do you think this meat isn't what I wanted, isn't what I expected? Do you think maybe we could exchange it?
Yeah, forget the last bit. You were doing great up until the last bit. Like, as a matter of information, something that you do not have this information. You gave me this meat, and actually it's not good meat. As a matter of information, you're just expressing yourself on the informational level. That's hello-like.
Okay, yeah, because then I went into please.
You went into please in the end of it, but I mean,
yeah.
Actually, this woman goes into the shop and she says to the butcher, I don't know if you're aware of this, but this meat isn't suitable. you know, just hello-like. It doesn't have an emotional quality, it's just informative. Okay, good. Now, what if she was saying thank you? How would she mean that if this was a thank you moment? Thank you is about opening the heart, deepening familiarity, growing fond of someone.
She'd be like, thank you. Sorry, you go, Katrina.
No, maybe thanks, it's not your fault, maybe, but I am not having this meat.
What was the difference between that and hello?
That I added that this is not his fault, that I don't say that.
Okay, so you're being more understanding and it's not your fault, okay. All right, that's in the right direction. Anything else? Do you remember she said she's not going to feed this to her dog? Do we know whether she has a dog? Do we know whether she would or would not feed this to a dog, or whether she wanted to eat it herself? Do we know any of these things? What do you think she means? I wouldn't feed that to my dog. Is she talking about her dog's fussiness?
I don't think so.
No,
What's she doing?
Talking about a very bad quality food.
No, I'm talking about, why is she talking about a dog?
I think she's just using that as an example of how bad the meat is.
Yes, but if she was saying thank you, if she wanted to deepen her familiarity and love and trust for this butcher, expressing friendship over many years already, how would that come across? How can this be a loving expression? Imagine it was me doing it to you. And I just slapped this meat down. I was like, I wouldn't feed that to my dog. Would that be more thank you like? That'd be familiar, wouldn't it? No?
Oh, well, it depends on what tone. Yeah, it depends
I
on what
just
tone you said
gave
it.
you the time. I wouldn't feed that to my dog.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's got that. Yeah, it's got a humor in it and a
It'll
kind
be
of,
humor. There you go.
yeah.
Humor. If she was having a joke with the butcher, it would be humorous. Now, she can slap the meat down, still funny, but can she huff and puff?
Not,
No.
no, not in the, not if it had humor. Are
No.
we still in thanks?
Well, we're saying, could this be an expression of thank you?
Oh,
And it could be if it's a really, really good joke. I wouldn't give that to my dog. Now, I could do that with some of my friends, but only the ones that I've known 30 years. I wouldn't do that with somebody I've only known 30 weeks. So if she's really, really fond of the butcher, then yeah, all right, she can do that. But they have to be almost in love and very, very old friends for that. Thank you. Okay, so what happens if she's saying goodbye? What's the difference between saying goodbye and saying please in this situation?
She's not coming back. It's the last time she bought meat there.
Yeah, she doesn't want a replacement. She slaps it down and she turns around and she leaves. That's goodbye, isn't it? You will not see me again, and you won't see my friends either. That's goodbye, isn't it?
Mm.
So we've said please, where, you know, I want a piece of better meat. Okay, what would be sorry? This is a tricky one.
Would it be something like, oh, I was thinking on your not being your fault again.
Yeah, but let's think that all of these words have got a positive and a negative side. So they all work both ways round. If you're strong on your boundaries, you respect the boundaries of another person. So if you're willing to say sorry, you won't be blaming somebody. But if it's still sorry energy in the negative form, then blame and guilt would be what we're discussing. So each of these words has got a dysfunctional side. And the dysfunctional side of sorry is
Guilt
and blame, both.
yeah, okay, guilt and blame. Yeah.
So if this is a message where we're talking about the sorry energy, what's she doing?
What did you say? This is the dysfunctional.
Well, if this message is to do with sorry, then how do we interpret it?
That she's sorry or he's sorry? He should be sorry.
He should be sorry.
No, okay.
He's
but
not
because
sorry
we
yet.
can make that she could be sorry also. There are people who can be even sorry in this situation.
Well, okay, perhaps she might be an English woman. I mean, is there any finger wagging going on here? Sounds like it, doesn't it? Slapping
Yeah.
it down, huffing and puffing. I wouldn't feed this to my dog. She's blaming him, isn't she?
Oh, yeah.
She wants him to be sorry.
Yeah.
I want an apology. I mean,
Yeah.
she's not going to be happy unless he says sorry, is she?
Of course, yeah. You need to take responsibility, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You just gave me rotten meat.
But that's not her sorry, it's his sorry.
Yes, but we're still only talking about the 7 possibilities. There are 7 archetypes. And even if it's his sorry, it's still the archetype of sorry.
Within the connection and not within
the
communication that she sent.
Yes. So sometimes we're in the sorry archetype, even though we're not saying sorry, we're saying you need to say sorry. We're still on the sorry vibration. That's where blame is an aspect of sorry. It's a negative and dysfunctional aspect of sorry, but it's still sorry energy. Okay.
Oh.
And what about yes? Could you possibly interpret this as a yes?
I'm not leaving here without a new piece of meat.
That doesn't sound very yes-like to me.
Well, maybe it is for her. I don't think she knows exactly what her intentions are. She's frustrated.
Oh,
She's
It just says, things happen. Okay, take your meat back. I wanted to say, shit happened, but I didn't say this.
now we're being recorded.
Okay.
So things
So
happen.
this is yes, surrender.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good suggestion. Another idea, which is rather fantastical, is I wouldn't feed that to my dog. It's too good for my dog. I'll eat it myself. Now we know that's not what she says, you know. So we know all the possibilities. There are 7 possible interpretations here. Which do you think she means now that you studied them?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Mhm.
So she would prefer an apology or another piece of meat.
Both.
So you have to include that she wants some meat.
Yeah.
Oh, because if she wants the meat, then that's a please, is it?
Must be, mustn't it? Yeah, that's what she wants. She's got a vision of walking away with a piece of meat.
I
Now,
imagine she'd want another piece of meat and a sorry, and then
okay, and given that she might have one and not the other, which do you think she wants more?
the piece of meat.
Yeah.
I think it's a please. Not very well explained, not very
Oh,
clear, but
awfully badly explained, but in
Yeah.
fact, absolutely typical. This is how people speak to each other. Now, the answer is that she wants another piece of meat.
Mm,
It's not to give to her dog, is it?
No.
Probably hasn't got a dog.
mm,
What she's saying is, the meat that you sold me yesterday is unsuitable. Please replace it. That's actually what she really wants.
mm.
Because if she wanted to get him to say sorry, she did not have to bring the meat with her.
Yeah.
If she wanted to say goodbye, she didn't have to bring the meat with her.
Okay.
If she was giving information about her dog's culinary preferences, my dog wouldn't eat this meat. He likes that kind of meat over there, not this kind of meat. Again, she doesn't have to bring the meat with her. So there's a lot of information, not only in her tone, but also in the meat that she's carrying and what she's doing with it. But what there is not very much information at all in are the words that she's given him. Almost no information whatever is contained within the words. Really, the words are almost useless, aren't they? If she
Yeah.
just walks in there quietly with a piece of meat and gives him the meat with a certain tone of an attitude, you know, that's enough. Especially if she slaps it down, then she expects to be given a replacement piece of meat. You know?
So is she in please?
Well, she is in please. Yeah, she wants more meat, but she's not very good at saying please, because what would the butcher do? If the butcher was a certain type of person, he would replace the meat and give her an apology as well as the meat. But if he was my kind of person, he wouldn't do that.
that's a goodbye on the butcher, right?
Yeah, he would say,
Get out. Get out of here.
you don't get to talk to me like that. Get out of my shop. You don't come in here again. You know, that's as likely as getting another piece of meat. It depends where you are. In England, you're probably going to get more meat. In Russia, you'd probably get mafia guy telling you to leave the shop. In America, you'd probably get killed, you know. I thought he was going to draw a gun on me, sir. So I shot him first. So it depends where you are, doesn't it? But, you know, with a name like Mavis, you're probably in England. Can we understand more deeply now how very imprecise communication usually is? This is normal, what we're talking about here, not for bankers and solicitors and accountants and people who are professionally paid to speak properly, but for ordinary people, shall we call them, most people do not speak properly. And when I said which of these messages, which of these 7 messages might it be, there was doubt, and it needed a lot of explanation really before we came up with the obvious thing. She wants another piece of meat. So even though we're studying it and I'm helping you, nevertheless, we're still finding it really hard to understand what's happening.
Mhm.
So imagine being able to interpret every situation in your life immediately according to which of the 7 words is strongest in the moment. Just imagine that. You know there are only 7 things that can be happening. You know that one is almost certainly primary. And all of your conversations are based on the fact that you understand what's happening. And you're pretty sure that the other person doesn't. Just imagine that, because that's where Richard and I live. We've been studying this for so long that it's just second nature for us. Somebody asked me yesterday, do I do this all the time? I said, well, yes, I do it before I go shopping.
You do what before you go shopping though, James?
I analyze the thing that I'm doing in 7 words. I don't have to go through a long drawn out process of thinking. I live in that world where I'm aware of 7 things all of the time.
But it requires a certain level of clarity regarding what you feel, right? Because her problem is that she was frustrated, she was angry about the situation, and she allowed that to get in the way of expressing what she wanted. She wanted the meat replaced, and instead she just lets all the frustration out, and that's the problem, right?
Sure. And what we notice as we study the 7 words is that the emotionality that clouds our thinking has to be dealt with. We have to put it aside or we can't think clearly.